Okay, welcome to the Online SuperCoach podcast. Today, we have a special guest who was a celebrity trainer and an elementary school teacher, but now she owns her own multi-million-dollar business called the Digital Business Evolution. She has built that business in 18 months. So welcome, Jess Glazer Derose.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, great. I always like to start off the podcast by asking if you have a phrase or a mantra or a quote that inspires, that speaks to you. So do you have one?
Yeah. Can I give you two?
Sure.
Okay. So a quote that I love and I share all the time is a Steve Jobs quote. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back, and you have to trust that they'll appear. So I think this is just a beautiful metaphor for our lives, the people that we meet, the skills that we have, the different schooling that we go through. And in the moment, sometimes it doesn't make sense. You're like, why am I even doing this? But in the future, it always does. So I love that one. And a motto, something that I feel like just saying a lot to clients lately, is that feelings are not facts. And so when we can differentiate and discern between a feeling and a fact, we can detach from what we make it mean about us.
Gotcha. That's really good. That's good stuff. Feelings are not facts. That's true. So, celebrity trainer, I'm sure you get asked this all the time. Are there any celebrities that you could mention or you are able to mention?
Oh man, I really am not able to mention most of them, but I will say that where we trained many athletes, so Olympians, all the Victoria's Secret models. So back in the day, those people. And I can leave it at that. A lot of musicians, I can't really name names, but some actors, musicians, models. Yeah.
So you were a trainer for 18 years. How did you like that industry, that lifestyle?
I love it. I still love it. I don't train now as a job or for, income, but I train myself. And I think like anyone in the fitness industry, I went through my own iterations of just being an athlete. So I was a collegiate athlete. I was a gymnast, and fitness was always a huge part of my life. So I actually started working at a gym when I was 14. I worked in the daycare room, and then I worked at the front desk, and then I worked my way up. And so I had taken all the tests to become a trainer before I was even 17. And on my 17th birthday, I trained my first client for money.
Wow.
I had been waiting to do that. Yeah. So went to school for my doctorate of physical therapy. It was always in my blood. And then of course, competed, did bodybuilding competitions and all of the things. So I love it. It's still a huge piece of my life. It's just not my business anymore.
Well, that's the next thing. So how did somebody make the transition between a teacher and a trainer to going into this multi-million-dollar business?
Yeah. So, the nice story is the 18 months to my first million, which seems like an overnight success, but in reality, it's a lot of years in the making. So
Yeah.
I started training online in 2012. So over 10 years ago, I was doing bodybuilding competitions. My coach was in Massachusetts, and at the time I lived in New Jersey. So virtually I was sending her money and she was giving me workout programs and macros. And so at the time I had been a trainer for a decade. So I had this light bulb moment of, well, wow, if I reach out to all of my old friends from high school and college who live in different states, I could do the same thing. And so in 2012, it started with and I was working full-time as a teacher, but it started as like emailing friends. They were mailing me checks in the actual mail, like $79 checks in the mail. And I was writing them workout programs through email. So all of that time I was a personal trainer nights and weekends. And then I was a teacher during the day and a phys ed teacher, of course, in an elementary school. But from 2012 to 2017, so 5 years, I just had this, what I call cute side hustle. And I was really learning what was going on in the industry, never thinking I was going to leave, never thinking I'd be an entrepreneur. But I started blogging weekly and selling, slinging ebooks and just kind of doing whatever I saw in the industry. In 2017, I decided to make the jump to full-time entrepreneurship. For the record, I was making about $300 a month in my side hustle. So I had not replaced my teaching income, not even close. But for me, I'm like a burn the boats type of person. So wanted to burn the boats, pull the safety net and figure it out. And that's when, the 18 months really started of when I went all in on my business. To answer your question, I scaled my health and fitness business online to multiple 6 figures and then 7 figures in just over a year. And so at that point, a lot of the trainers in New York where I was living, they were just all asking me, what are you doing behind the computer all day? This was pre-pandemic. So I was like, why are you on the computer between clients? And what's that stuff you're doing? And how do you build a landing page? And how do I build an email list? And you get the idea. So I started helping my friends for free in 2017. And I was just kind of helping them figure things out online. My first friend had an $80,000 launch following the program that I put her through. And so I had this light bulb moment where it kind of turned into one friend was 3 and then 5. And like every Thursday, 7 of us were sitting around my laptop in between clients. And I said, you guys, I think I have to charge you for this. And so
Yeah.
for many years, I was doing both. So I was doing health and fitness coaching online as well as business coaching. And it wasn't until 2020 that I finally, after 18 years, let my certifications expire and I hung up my fitness hat. And I've just been business all since. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's incredible. There's so many there's some similarities we have. So I was a teacher as well during
Yeah.
similar time periods, and I was working at the gym that I'm in now. I own the health club, so I was working here before teaching, and then during teaching I was teaching during the day and coming here, managing at night, and then eventually I just became after 2 years of teaching, they offered me to be here full time,
Wow.
gym. So I've been here ever since. So
Wow.
it's a little like similar. I get
Yeah.
the
What'd you teach?
lifestyle, like just running around doing like a little bit of everything. So, but that's really amazing how you're able to. You were just like selling it. You were just basically doing it yourself, and you just learned from, just helping out your friends, and then you really created a business really out of thin air from that.
Yeah.
So, what is your? I read a little bit about the secret sauce. Is that like the niche? Is that like your client base?
Who?
So when you talk about, I just read in the profile in the biography, your secret sauce are you referring to like your niche? Is that like the clientele that you should be attracting? Is that the word you use for that?
Oh, no, definitely not. I'm not sure what you read. I mean, I believe that you are the secret sauce, especially in something like coaching or a service-based industry, because people buy from people. But the niche that we work with is really anyone. We work with everyone. We've helped over 150 different niches build out profitable businesses, from accounting and lawyers to real estate agents and hairdressers. So anyone in between. It's really anyone that has a skill set, lived experience, or unique perspective that they want to teach someone else. And we help them extract that and turn that into group coaching, courses, memberships, any digital product.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's talk about organic marketing.
Yes.
Okay. Would you say the organic marketing of all the different types of areas where you're going to market online? Would you say that organic marketing is really a strength of yours, like a superpower?
Absolutely. It's absolutely our superpower. It's what we teach. It's how we build. It's how we've built. And I don't believe that you need to pay for, I don't think you need to pay for ads. I really don't. I think it depends on the space, but definitely not in coaching.
Yeah. So which platforms based on Online SuperCoach, our audience are predominantly trainers and coaches, obviously. Would you have a preference as far as which platforms make the most sense for our trainers and coaches?
It really depends on where your ideal client is hanging out. So if you are a trainer, I would say most likely your clients are definitely hanging out. They're everywhere because it's general population, but they probably are hanging out a lot on Instagram. They're definitely over on LinkedIn. It depends what type of client you have. They could be on TikTok. That tends to not convert at such a high number or a high rate for people. There's a huge audience over on YouTube, definitely with podcasting as well. And yeah, I mean, I think there's a platform for everybody, but it really depends on where your ideal client is hanging.
Right. So many online coaches are all obviously have to develop their own content online. What are a few tips that they should know about developing developing content? Like, let's say if they're just starting out, what would be some tips if someone's starting out? What would make sense for them?
Yeah. First thing is you need to know exactly what your niche is and don't overcomplicate it. That's just a fancy word for like your industry. So if you have a problem you solve, a personal story that you can relate back to, and if it's profitable in the marketplace, you want to lean into that. It means that there's market demand. So that would be your niche. Your ideal client is next. You want to understand their language, their pain points, their pleasure, which is their desired outcome, and really use their language. Once you know those two things, that's sort of the foundation to the building. At that point, I would encourage you to create content pillars or content buckets. And so these are different key elements to your business that you're basically always talking about. It's 3 to 5 problems that you always solve, 3 to 5 areas that people know you for, 3 to 5 things that you would generally always be serving up. And so for a trainer, typically that looks like a pillar of mindset, right? We're going to talk a lot about mindset and productivity and motivation and inspiration. There's going to be a pillar of fitness. So that could be anything from how-tos to tutorials to actual workouts to how to warm up to foam rolling. There's going to be a pillar of nutrition. And maybe you're not a registered dietitian, so you can't give out meal plans, but you could definitely talk about, pros and cons, different types of fats, how to shop in a grocery store, meal prepping, macros versus calories, right? All of that. And then generally, you're going to have a pillar that's going to be your personal story. So again, how does it relate to other people? People buy from people. What have you personally been through? How can people relate to you? What's going on in your life that makes you interesting? And then the fifth pillar for everybody really is going to be your offer. So your offer could be something as simple as like, hey, I was recently on the Online SuperCoach podcast, right? It could be a free thing. It could be an opt-in. It could be a paid program, but it's letting your audience know basically where they can find more of your content and how they can work with you. So those really would come to like 5 main pillars. And then that's not to say you can't talk about other things, but you would use other areas of your business to talk about other things. The meat and potatoes, the core sort of values that you teach and talk about would fall under those main categories.
One of those 5, yeah.
Yeah.
So would they just like circle around, like one day do like a fit tip, another day do nutrition, another day do like a lifestyle?
Yeah, you want to be always varying which one you're pulling from, and then also vary the angle in which you're teaching from. We tend to default, especially us teachers, we tend to default to 5 ways, 3 tips, how to, and it's like very educational. And if it's too educational, it's boring, right? If we just wanted to learn, we'd go to an encyclopedia. So can you change it? Can you myth bust? Can you be polarizing? Can you tell a story? Can you share a transformation, a testimonial, a case study? So there's different angles in which you can say the same thing, but just say it in a different way that's going to keep it interesting.
Just keep mixing it up, keep it differentiating it. So let's say a trainer has been doing this for a while and they're not just starting out, but maybe it's not as effective as it should be. Like the next level, like any tips on how to make it even more effective beyond like just starting out, like what you just said?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. Can you hear him? Okay. There's a lot of different things that you can do. I can't give you a blanket statement. That would be irresponsible because I don't know about your business, but I would say the first and most important thing to look at is your messaging. So if you feel that there's a miss, whether that's in engagement, people reaching out, wanting to work with you, filling out applications, booking sales calls, or actually converting to sales, most often it's going to be a miss in messaging, and we can break down how to really nail that down. But if they're not seeing the value in what you're having to offer, then they're probably not going to purchase it from you. So I would say messaging is going to be the most important thing. The second thing there probably would be something like runway. Have you put the time in? Have you given enough runway? You can't have a plane take off in a driveway. Like there's a reason that it needs a long runway. So are you doing things in runway to warm your audience up? Have you validated your idea, your content, your verbiage? Have you teased it? And then have you promoted it? It's not just jumping into promotion. We got to preheat the oven a little bit, So we want to go from validate to tease to promote. And also just making sure that we are super consistent. People know exactly what they're coming to you for. We've all experienced a page that we've come across where maybe it's something like fitness or, home decor or dog training. And you're like, oh, sweet, I've been looking for something like this. So you follow them. And then you realize that that was just a one-off random post. They actually never talk about that thing that you followed them for. So if you're jumping from thing to thing all the time and you don't have that consistency in your messaging, people will most likely leave or not be interested in working with you.
How often is consistent? Like how often should, fitness professionals be posting?
I mean, in a perfect world, at least once a day, if not more. It's marketing. You look at these big companies that have commercials on TV. It's every single commercial break they're on. They pay to be on every single commercial break because we need to see things over and over and over. So there is an element of quality matters, but there's also an element of quantity matters, and quantity creates quality. So I'd rather you put out C plus, B level content. And at a point, C content turns into A content, but you gotta get the reps. Yeah, you gotta get the reps.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good stuff now.
Yeah.
So going along the lines of, I had another question. This podcast is so choppy today. With the content, I had this other question with the content that you
messaging.
It was after that. I wanted to follow up on something you were saying. This is probably the most choppy podcast I've done so far.
That's fine. I'm here for it.
Um, with the
Validate, tease, promote, pillars, angles.
yeah, it was I shouldn't have interrupted you because I had it like in my head
No, it's fine.
right there.
Runway.
Yeah, maybe it was after that. It was right there. It was no, it was after that. It was right before the commercials. Hitting it every day. You were hitting the content every day,
Yeah, consistency.
and then I can't believe I just saw such a blank here.
That's okay.
Oh my God. No, but I wanted to just keep talking more about the organic content because I think that's just like that's obviously such a major area for the trainers that need that, that they need to continue to develop. Um, what about okay, this wasn't the question, but this is the next question. Okay, so now that they have the content working and people are now reacting to the content, what should they be very constantly engaged with people who are engaging with them? Are there any tips or strategies as far as that goes?
Yeah, again, I mean, I hate using shoulds because there's such a level of pressure with a should, but at the end of the day, social media is a marketing channel and it's a free marketing channel. Coaching and service-based industry stuff is a relationships industry. So I do believe it's really important to build relationships, to sort of get in the weeds, have conversations, use those conversations as market research. Those are the best places you're actually going to come up with content. Content comes from questions people ask you. Content comes from when I'm on a coaching call and my clients are stuck, right? And they have a question. I'm going to turn that into content, certainly if those are my ideal clients, because if they're thinking that or wondering that, then so are other people. So I'm a huge advocate for having relationships, being in the DMs. We do not outsource that in my company. I will never outsource that. It is always me. I'm the voice memo back and forth
Yeah,
all the time. So again, I think it's really important. Also, just like tactically, the more you engage, the more your engagement goes up. So it's very
yeah,
simple. I mean, the more you respond to someone, then your engagement goes up, and that's helping your algorithm.
absolutely. Okay, so let's say you are posting every single day.
Mhm.
Doesn't that take a lot of time? How do you organize? How do you find the time to just a think of, create, develop, and produce all that and edit all that
Mhm.
content every single day? Are there any
Yeah.
ideas or tricks or tips you have to streamline that process to make it a little bit more efficient?
Yeah, it's going to be different for everybody. You need to meet yourself where you're at. So when I'm speaking to you today, we have a massive team and I have editors and they can help with that type of stuff. I didn't start there and I still do edit many, many things by myself, but a lot of the stuff we are outsourcing. So you might not be there yet. And so you just need to meet yourself where you're at. What are you actually able to do? What is your capacity? What I would say is you have to find your own method. There's going to be a lot of experts and gurus out there that tell you to do things one way. And if it doesn't work for you that way, then that's fine. There's not one way to do it. It's sort of like having a morning routine. You're not going to follow someone's morning routine strictly and have this amazing life. It's you need to figure out what works for you. So I do think that there is benefit to some sort of batching. So I'm not a huge fan of batching content more than a couple pieces because usually the way that I think what I want to say or the trends are like far gone by the time it would actually come out. So I'm very mindful of how much I batch, but you could batch like filming. So if you're going to
Yeah,
film a bunch of content, do that at the same time. If you're going to edit a bunch of content, do that at the same time. If you're going to sit down and write emails, do a couple of those at the same time. So batching has helped me a lot over the years. I've been consistently creating content for over a decade. I don't know that I've ever really missed a day, no matter what platform I'm on. It's a muscle, like we were talking about before. Like you got to put in the reps. It does get easier. You do get faster. What I would encourage you to do, this is a huge hack. So I have an iPhone and I use the note section of my iPhone, which also talks to my computer. In my iPhone, I have each of my content pillars as a folder. So inside my phone, I have like a leadership entrepreneurship folder. We've got a business strategy folder. We've got like a money mindset folder, so on and so forth. When I'm feeling a ping, if I have an idea, if I'm scrolling past something and I'm like, ooh, that's a great thing to talk about, or
yeah,
wow, I really disagree with that person, I quickly go into the notes section of my phone. I find what folder that would fall under, and I just start a new note with that idea, that concept, that quote that I heard on the podcast, whatever it was that gave me the inspiration. I don't necessarily write the whole post. I just leave the idea in the folder.
Yeah.
It's just the idea for later, so that when I'm
Like
sitting down needing to create, you could do voice notes too. When I need to create, I can go back to that. We also have kind of moved my schedule around. So I have days that are solely for creating, where I don't have any calls, no coaching, no emails, no admin. And they're just for creation days for me. It's really important to create that space for yourself. But I would say the biggest shift too is just, it's a mindset shift. We often say, oh, I have to post. Like, I know I've said that a million times, like, oh, I have to post, right? And you just kind of say it without even thinking. And you're giving the power away to the post. You're giving the power away to the content. You're giving the power away to the platform. When you can shift your mindset, you don't have to post. You get to post. And it is free. It is free marketing. And there are so many companies and so many industries, and for so many decades, centuries, you had to pay to get your marketing out there. I'm from Jersey, so like, we're the home of diners. Diners have paper placemats. People pay to put logos and, advertisements on these paper placemats. You pay to get into magazines, you pay to get into newspapers and TV commercials. And so now we have dozens of social media platforms that you don't have to pay for. You get to show up and share your content for free in front of hundreds of thousands, millions of people globally. So when you can shift your mindset from like, oh, I have to post and it's so time consuming, to like, wow, what a gift, what a cool tool that I can spend 45 minutes every single day, show up, drop these like knowledge bombs, connect with people all over the globe, and then leave, clock in and clock out. It's part of your business. Social media is a type of marketing. Marketing is one department in your company. It's not your business. Like having an Instagram account that doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur. That's not the same thing. Yeah.
That's really, really, really great stuff. So, growing. So obviously, putting out the content is super powerful and super important for a trainer or a coach who's trying to go online or already online. But a lot of times they say to me, I don't have that many followers. How do I get more followers? How do I grow in my followers? So do you have any trending strategies now that they can look into or think about to grow their audience at a more rapid pace?
Yeah. Rather than give a trending strategy, I'd love to just kind of shift the perspective again. I like to poke holes in things. You don't need more followers. You need to learn how to serve the ones that you currently have. So if you had a barbecue and you invited 20 people to your barbecue and you got food and tables and chairs for 20 people, and one of your pesky little neighbors told everybody about it and 300 people showed up, would you actually be able to serve 300 people? Would you actually be able to, feed 300 people and have chairs for 300 people? No, you'd be freaking out. So you don't need more followers. I am a testament to that. And so are all of my clients. If you go over to my social media page right now, Instagram, which is our biggest, we're on every platform, but Instagram is my biggest. I currently have 5,000 followers, which might sound crazy. Why am I listening to this girl? Right. Yeah. I used to have 26,000 followers, not huge, but bigger. I shut that account down with the intention to completely start brand new, totally from fresh, just to be in the weeds again with my clients, because the gap had gotten really big from where I was in business and where they were. And I wanted to play with it again. I also wanted to remove my ego from the significance of having a large following. We hit our first $1 million in revenue with under 10K followers. I think I had about 3,000 followers. We scaled to multiple seven figures with under 10,000. It wasn't until we got to that point that I grew up to about the 26,000 mark and then shut the account down and started from zero. So you do not need a lot of followers. We have so many testimonials of clients in our programs with literally a guy came through 236 followers in the technology space. He had $112,000 first launch. It's not about more. It's about understanding who's in your audience and like really spending intention and time on the content that you're putting out and building those relationships. Now, on the flip side, learn your platform. So every platform has a different native language. They all speak very differently. They all work differently. Their algorithms are different, and why people go to those platforms are different. So the worst thing that you could do is take a piece of content on Instagram and just post it everywhere without changing it to be native to the platform you're posting it on. There are things that you can do for helping yourself with reach. We're recording this in January of 2023. If you're not creating vertical video, you're not going to grow, period. It's just between shorts on YouTube, TikToks, and Reels, we are consuming vertical video because we're on mobile most of the time. So short form vertical video, you got to do it if you want reach.
So vertical video is obviously just holding the camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, vertically. And you can film something horizontally landscape and then edit it to be vertical if you wanted to multi-purpose, like repurpose, which we do. So for our YouTube channel, we'll film horizontally, but our editor will cut vertical out for TikTok, shorts on YouTube, or Reels. But the key here is it's not just creating vertical video, it's understanding how to have a really strong hook, capture your audience's attention, right? Like leave a really good call to action, be exciting to watch. And talking head, meaning you talking to the camera, is way more effective than just dancing and pointing and following trends.
Wow, this is such a generous podcast. You've really given so many nuggets of information here. I really appreciate it. I think the audience is very appreciative. So, who makes your? I know you mentioned before that you could really help anybody, trainers, coaches, or really any. What is your ideal client?
Yeah, it's really anyone that wants to use digital marketing, so organic social media marketing for a business. I know that's like the worst. That's like the worst pitch, but we actually do. We have people with brick and mortars. We have dental offices. Most of our clients are building coaching programs, and the majority of our clients are still in the health and fitness field. But like I said earlier, we've helped relationship coaches and real estate agents and dog trainers and jewelry, pottery people. I mean, literally anyone who wants to use social media for organic marketing to grow their business, their impact and income. Yeah.
Dog trainers. So the dog's being trained virtually. I'm just kidding.
That'd be nice. You still have to do the work on your end.
So where could my audience find you?
Yeah. So I hang out on Instagram the most, but I am everywhere. So on Instagram, my name is I am Jessica Derose. Same thing. We have a podcast, Digital Business Evolution. We drop 2 episodes per week. We've got a YouTube channel, Jessica Derose, TikTok, Facebook, all the things. We're everywhere.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for coming on. I mean, you were very very generous with giving a lot of information. Hopefully, the audience just replays it over and over again because you're fast talking the New Yorker. But yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, great.